We News is being brought to you in part by Nigel Arakan Booksellers, Flowerline and the NLCB.
Good evening and welcome to We News on Gayelle the channel. I'm Cindy F. Daniel. The new Minister of Public Administration, Rudrawati Nan Ramgulam, yesterday at the annual general meeting of the Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association, proposed the idea of more incentives to local broadcasters who showcase more local content in their program lineup. We News spoke with Gayelle's own Christopher Laird about what these incentives for local content would mean for Trinidad and Tobago. He also spoke about the high demand for local programs in foreign markets, highlighted by Gayelle's own move into the UK.
It's reported last year that our taxpayers' money paid $40 million to subsidize CNMG to buy foreign programming. Essentially, that's what they're doing. They're trying to compete on the commercial sector, and it's largely Hollywood programming, and it's $40 million there. Gayelle itself has been operating as a public broadcasting service ever since we started. We don't get funding, but we provide a service of local programming.
We in the industry have been talking in the local production industry, have been talking about the diaspora market for decades. There's a lot of myth about local production being expensive. That's total nonsense. To produce programming locally is a fraction of the cost of those productions outside of, like in Europe or United States. Gayelle is being shown now at homes in London on Sky TV, channel 195. You have Gayelle programming. At the moment, it's just supplied by sending the programming. We are this week going to start to test live transmission to London. Now the reaction is quite, it's the sort of reaction that Trinidad had when Gayelle started. It's all of a sudden they're seeing a Caribbean programming. You imagine with all the television that's in the UK, there is no Caribbean television. Notting Hill Carnival, for example, it's 50 years old in a couple of years' time. Never been transmitted on television in the UK. No one in the UK has ever seen Notting Hill Carnival on TV except in news clips. Who got mugged, what white policeman jumped in with what black Jamaican masquerader, that sort of thing. But not the carnival itself. A Caribbean station or a Caribbean channel can do that and will do that this year. So it is, it's just an incredible breakthrough to be able to be in that market. I hope that we can make the most of it ourselves.
Meanwhile, cultural activist Rubadiri Victor reveals the impact that heavy foreign-based content has on local musicians and what these incentives could mean for promoting our local talent.
Trinidad and Tobago's local content hovers somewhere in the vicinity between 5 and 10%. It is one of the lowest percentage of local content in the world. We have lost billions of dollars from the abortion of things within the television, film, and music industry because of the 90%, 95% foreign content. The thing is it means that the 36 radio stations as well as the 10 or so television stations, we will be battling for somewhere between 35 and 45% local content. It means that whatever your playlist, these 36 radio stations have to populate their music with 45% local content. We did a drive last year, the Artist Coalition, where we speak to the Telecommunications Authority and let them understand how much music there is. We made a call to the sector for non-soca, non-calypso, non-chutney music artists to send in their music, and we collected more than 1,000 CDs in about 3 weeks, all of which have never been played locally. We will be campaigning for it strongly, and it's good to hear these noises coming out of Parliament and Cabinet.
Earlier this week in Jamaica, the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Christopher Tufton, charged that Jamaican primary producers were being shortchanged within the CARICOM community as a result of a subsidized agro-processing sector in oil-rich Trinidad and Tobago. The minister indicated that in some instances, Trinidadian agro-processors used raw materials imported from outside the region with quote-unquote unclear duty arrangements. While attempts to reach Minister Tufton proved futile, but we spoke with Dano Suku of the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago about the issue of preferential treatment for Trinbagonian farmers. The UK has been forced to provide a £10 million emergency bailout to the Turks and Caicos Islands. Here we bring you more of that report.
The corruption-hit Turks and Caicos Islands has received a £10 million emergency package from the UK. The UK Parliament was told by International Development Secretary Andrew Mitchell that this short-term loan was necessary to pay the salaries of the island's teachers, police and medics in the British Overseas Territory. The financial crisis meant that the UK's immediate intervention was absolutely necessary. Britain had assumed control of the island late last year after the local government had been disassembled under allegations of corruption and misspending. The island's former premier, Michael Missick, resigned last March along with other senior officials when a commission inquiry led by former Lord Justice of Appeal Sir Robin Oud found clear signs of political immorality and immaturity and of general administrative incompetence in Turks and Caicos. Andrew Mitchell also added that the temporary financial package was decided upon after meeting with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Mitchell stated that this support is conditional on the TCI government strengthening its capacity and systems to manage its public, health and education services, and it would be repaid once the support package was in place. The £10 million was needed to meet the nation's unavoidable commitments to the public sector of the Turks and Caicos Island. This has been Kimberly Martins for WE News.
Well, Bacchanal continues to haunt church at the heights of Guanapo, whose dome was reported to have collapsed following extensive looting of the abandoned structure. WE News spoke today with a scrap metal entrepreneur about the suggestion that their industry encourages looting at construction sites such as Guanapo.
People, everybody in Trinidad and Tobago, this is a free country. A lot of people have a different opinion about some things. Some people do not have no opinion at all. If somebody hear somebody say something, they find they will want to say something to because they hear somebody say it now. But they say, well, this is just a survival business for everybody to make a dollar off it because is that way these days how it come now? It was then like that, was not that in the beginning, but so it is now. It's everybody doing it.
We're taking a quick break now, but stay with us. When we come back, we'll be taking a trip to Colombia.